Today we'll talk about the age of exploration. So what is the age of exploration? So it's a time period where Europeans began to explore the rest of the world. New technologies and map making, shipbuilding, rigging, navigation made this possible. Blue water sailing. This is basically where you're out, you're out in the ocean and everywhere you look you see nothing but water. There's no coastline around. So they're going to start going farther out into the Atlantic Ocean, not just coastal sailing. And the policy of mercantilism drives exploration. So what were the new technologies that enabled these explorations? The caravel, as you see to the left there, it's a new type of ship. It's more maneuverable. Older ships had square sails. Caravels had triangular sails, which made it easier to change direction, and they could sail against the wind a little better. Don't forget the invention of the bilge pump. It's a system that enabled the ships to float higher. They're less likely to run aground. Think about the Cape Fear River. It typically, before we dredged it out, it has a 7 to 12 foot depth in the river. So if you're going to bring in a boat that's weighted down with water, it could run aground. Believe it or not, all ships, fiberglass, metal, aluminum, they all leak. So you need a bilge. And back then they were manually pumped and have a motor. Other inventions, the compass, the astrolabe, these technologies from the Islamic culture made it, really helped exploration, made it possible. There's the caravel, there's the astrolabe and the compass. So what is this policy of mercantilism? This is what's really going to drive exploration. You need to know basically why did we have exploration? For new trade routes. So North and Western Europeans could make money because the Italian city-states monopolized the Silk Road, and they would not allow these Northern European countries to use the Silk Road. They'd fight over it, and not to mention Istanbul when it turns Muslim. So anyway. The policy said that basically there's a limited amount of money in the world. Each country needs to grab as much money as they can before it's gone. You need to put a star by export more than you import, more money in your pocket. Basically what this means is you want to sell more than you buy. If you sell more than you buy, you have more money. Put a star by that. You also need to know colonies and markets were needed to keep everything in the system. Basically, you needed to link colonization with mercantilism. Mercantilism is a name for the economic system, kind of like the name for our economic system is free enterprise, free market, open market, capitalism. So those are just some of the names we give to our economic system. Mercantilism was the name of the economic system Europeans used at this period of time. So what were some factors pushing Europeans to explore? The decline of the Mongol Empire made goods from the East harder to get and more expensive. Guys, if you want to know how Europeans ate at this period of time, what you do is take yourself a chicken breast, whatever you want, and boil a pot of water. Now, as you boil this pot of water, do not put any salt, pepper, any spices in it. It's just a pot and water. Then you take that chicken and you cook it up. You boil that chicken, pull the chicken out, have at it, eat it, because that's how Europeans ate. There were no spices for them back then. All the spices came from the Middle East and came from Asia. All right, so all these cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, all this good stuff we enjoy today originally came from the Far East. So Europeans wanted in on some of that. They liked their food to be to have some taste to it. So not to mention also the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Turks in 1453. Basically, this is a major block to European trade. You have the Italian city-states and you have Constantinople basically blocking off any way there is to Asia. So Europeans have to figure out a way to get to Asia, and they say, hey, why don't we try to see what's out there in the ocean? So the Portuguese explorers. You need to put a star by Henry the Navigator, and the very first thing there, he set up a school of navigation in 1420. You need to know that. He actually doesn't sail anywhere himself, but he makes it possible for others to sail. So you might want to know that. I would definitely know School of Navigation, where ship captains and geographers, astronomers, navigators, they all exchange information. So it helps spur on exploration. As you see, he organized and bankrolled voyages along the West African coast. They actually bring back some gold, a few African slaves that try to fill the labor shortage caused by the bubonic plague. So moving on, we got Diaz. Bartholomew Diaz, he sails around the Cape of Good Hope. Actually called it the Cape of Storms because of all the storms there, but later it's changed to the Cape of Good Hope in hopes of finding a route to Asia. Found a route to the Indian Ocean, so now trade can come and go from Europe to Asia by sea. There is his route. Next we have Vasco da Gama. Oh, my bad. So he lands in India in 1498. Important trade route from Europe to India and the East Indies. So from here, Europeans are going to try to find a route to, of course, the Far East and China. So if you look here, here is his route. Starts here in Lisbon, cruises all the way around to India. Right here would be about where Diaz turned around and went home, right in this area, but da Gama goes on. Da Gama keeps going. So let's look at the Spanish explorers. First one I'm going to talk about is Christopher Columbus here. We like to give Columbus a lot more credit than he deserves. However, he did believe in a shorter route to Asia, and you could do it by sailing west instead of around Africa. So he's going to put that to practice. He couldn't find anybody to charter him boats except for the Spanish Ferdinand and Isabella. Keep in mind, people tend to think that he comes up with this idea that the Earth is round. That is not true. There were two theories of thought on this. You go back to the Greeks. I think it's Aristophanes, and he is the one who basically said the Earth was round. And Aristarchus, I believe, is the one who accurately calculated the Earth's circumference. It's Ptolemy that comes along later and says it's flat. There are two different schools of thought here. So Columbus is not a great thinker or anything. It's just he followed one school of thought. And lo and behold, the Earth is round. But people for thousands of years knew this. It wasn't like he was the first one. So we tend to play more into that than it's worth. So he did find North America by accident, but he never thought he did. He always thought he found the Indies. That's why actually we call Indians Indians, because he thought he was in the East Indies, so he called them Indians. But it's the West Indies now. So he found the Caribbean, Hispaniola on the Dominican Republic and Haiti to be exact. So anyway, moving on. What was the Columbian Exchange? Is a massive, you need to put a star by this, you need to know this is a massive exchange of goods, plants and animals, and diseases as well, that moved between the Old World and New World. The Old World being Europe, the New World being North and South America. And this starts with Columbus. So here are some things that were traded. If you look, Europeans got corn, potatoes, tomatoes, new animals, more resources. Look at what the natives get. They got wheat, barley, cattle, pigs, and horses, because horses are not native to North America. But they also got smallpox, measles, and typhus, which they never cured. There we go. Now, I would like to point out to you guys that 90%, 90% of all Native Americans were dead and gone by 1607. That's the time of the Jamestown colony, because of those diseases. So it wiped Native Americans out, North and South America. Ferdinand Magellan, he's the first one to make a round-the-world trip, circumnavigated the globe. He proved for certain that the world was round. However, Magellan is actually killed in the Philippines, and he didn't make it home. He killed by poison arrow by one of the Filipinos, and he sailed with 5 ships. Only one made it back. By the way, there's a video if you want to watch it. You can. There is, and it's a short video, like 3 minutes. There is his route. See where he's killed over there by the Philippines. So, this guy I could spend a lot of time on. But Hernan Cortez, you just read this off here and watch this video, Engineering an Empire, and we'll be good. But basically, the story of Hernan Cortez is very, very interesting. It is the most deadly mistaken identity in world history. They thought he was a god, but he wasn't. He was a gold searcher, and keep in mind their temples were made of gold. As you see, he came to the New World to look for riches. The Aztecs' creation story was basically a white man created their civilization. He sailed to the east. He would be coming back from the east, and then that would launch the Aztecs into a time of paradise. Moctezuma II met with Cortez. Ends up Cortez, to make a long story short, conquered the Aztecs in 1521, turned them into slaves, and literally killed off the Aztec people by working them to death in the gold mines. And as you see, it gave Spain 100 years of unequaled wealth and gold. Tenochtitlan, which is the capital of the Aztecs, is today Mexico City. The French explorers, as you see, Jacques Cartier, in 1534, he discovers the St. Lawrence River. He's trying to find a northwest passage, which would make it a much quicker trip around the world. In other words, instead of having to sail around the southern tip of South America, he's looking to sail through what is today North America. And, you know, he sails up the Great Lakes and stuff, so he's thinking, hey, we're on to something. We know today he wasn't, but yes, that's what he did. I usually show you, let's see if I can do it here. So here's France. Here's where you would have to sail normally all the way around the southern tip and come up here. He is looking to sail this way, which would make it a lot quicker, but there's no route. Samuel de Champlain, as you see, he sails up the St. Lawrence River. He establishes he established the first colony of Quebec. He makes 23 voyages. He establishes what is called New France. And basically the big thing with him is you need to know they cooperate with Native Americans in the lucrative fur trade. And guys, it's going to start a long relationship with the French and the natives of being very friendly. French don't want land, they just want to trade. Put a start by the mission system. You need to know this was established by the Spanish in the 15th and 17th century. You can read all this, but basically what you need to know with the mission system is it is a network of churches set up through what is today the Southwest U.S., and basically it provides law and order for people out there. So that's why it's called the mission system, because the missionaries are able to establish some sort of law and order out in these desolate areas where there's not much government. However, you do need to look at this right here and understand it's credited with helping destroy Indian culture. The end.